Our trainings are really geared towards folks who are really in any capacity working with people who are using drugs or at risk for overdose. What that means for me in my role is, along with my fellow colleagues and trainers, I'm either traveling around the state of Massachusetts or conducting online trainings to hopefully reduce overdose death. We don't just want to relegate ourselves to people who are working in traditional substance use settings, because we know that people who use drugs and who are dealing with substance use may find themselves in the criminal legal system, or find themselves in housing and homelessness, or where we are today, a veterans transition house. If you're working with someone in any capacity who may be at risk for overdose or who's using drugs, these trainings are for you. The training that we're doing today is on opioid overdose rescue and opioid overdose prevention. So a really practical and tangible skill that I think a lot of service providers really benefit from. This training covers everything from what are opioids, how do those impact the body, how can I recognize if someone's in an active opioid overdose, what is naloxone or Narcan, which is a drug that can reverse the effects of an opioid overdose, and then we're actually going to have folks practice what it might be like to respond in real time to an opioid overdose. Getting people to try on different skills that they learn using multiple methods of learning, right? Not just doing a lecture for 3 hours, but doing role plays, doing scenarios, doing brainstorms. We're thinking more about opioid overdose prevention. So how can we prevent overdoses from happening in the first place? It's getting into sort of more of those interpersonal relationships with folks.
My recovery is the primary reason why I do this. I got 16 years in recovery. I want people to realize that, what I did in the past, or because I was addicted, it doesn't mean that's what defines me.
Any questions so far?
I think when you're transparent and honest, people connect. The opposite of addiction is connection. And if I don't provide that connection, then people are not gonna feel comfortable to come and talk to you.
I've really enjoyed the training so far. Because we're so spread out in the community, the chances of one of our staff coming across someone that's overdosing is probably higher. So for them to be able to identify and get that person help and know what signs to look for is super important to save lives. That's what we're trying to do.
We've certainly heard stories just of people who have put these skills into practice. All of our trainings really fall under these big umbrellas of overdose rescue, harm reduction, substance use. I think there's something in there for everyone.
And we continue to develop new trainings because we believe that, this is always evolving.
We have a code of ethics that we abide by, and there's a really practical piece around honoring the dignity and worth of each person. That includes people who use drugs too.